Thank you very much for your time here on the program. Now, the Ghana Police Service has released the body of a 14-year-old student who was shot and killed by a stray bullet at St. Paul's Senior High School at Denu in the Volta region to his family. The first-year student was killed Saturday by a stray bullet when the police were invited to quell riots by students who had been demanding release of two colleagues said to have been engaged in homosexual acts. The students went on rampage, destroying school properties when authorities refused to allow them beat up alleged homosexual students. Police Public Affairs Director Superintendent Cephas Arthur says police have concluded the autopsy, but investigations are still ongoing. We can look into that matter now. I've been joined over the telephone by human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu and Superintendent Cephas Arthur, who is Police Public Affairs Director. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here. Francis, I'm going to start with you. The body has been released to the family. Is that it for this young boy who turned out to be collateral damage in all of this?
Well, a very good morning to all your cherished viewers once more. I would say that that probably will not be all of it, especially when I hear that investigations are still ongoing, because if you look at the laws that govern taking away a person's life, it is so clear that, life itself is a right that is enjoyed by every individual. And when you look at the circumstances under which a person's life can be taken away, which includes sometimes they losing their lives as a result of the police using a reasonable force or using a reasonable justification toward of some unlawful activities and so on and so forth. The question would really be that on that occasion, whether what the police did was the use of a reasonable force in warding off that riot that eventually led to the death of that little boy.
Francis, let me have Superintendent Cephas Arthur answer that. Cephas, was reasonable force used in this instance?
Yeah, as to whether or not reasonable force was used in this instance is part of the subject of investigation. It is early days yet to come to the bottom of this incident. It happened over the weekend, Friday at 7 p.m. thereabouts. And police have started painstaking investigation into the incident. And so let us wait a while. Let us wait a while as we get to the bottom of it.
So let me ask a more direct question. Is it normal practice for the police who have gone to the school with live ammunition?
For every public order disturbance, or commotion, there are rules of engagement that the police need to go by. And if I could go through the graduation of response briefly, when the police get to the scene, as per our rules of engagement, of any commotion, any disturbances, any public disorder, the police would have to talk to the people causing the commotion, that the police were there or the police are here to take charge of the situation, so they should come down. If they are not heeding, the police could go to the next step.
I think I have lost Cephas there, but I'm going to come to Francis. Hello, Francis, are you there?
Please, I am.
Very well. Now, what do you think about the fact that the police went into the school with live ammunition?
Honestly, I think that perhaps might be one of the administrative, service practices of the police. But the fact that they actually released those live ammunition on that occasion is what is alarming. Perhaps they may go with this live ammunition just so when the things get beyond some reasonable level and it becomes like a danger on their own lives, they probably may be able to open some of them. But I believe that there should have been many more other ways to go about this than using this live ammunition to ward off riotous students. And we know these are senior high students, and I don't foresee the kind of danger and threat they pose to the extent that the police on that occasion can use live ammunition, on them. They could use tear gas, they could use hot water, they could use so many other means to dispel these students other than, releasing a live ammunition on the students, which led to the death of one of them.
Francis, I'm going to have you hold the line again. Civil Arthur is back and would have him finish his submission. So you were telling us why your man perhaps released the live ammunition on these students.
Yeah, I'm not telling the discharge live ammunition. I was just giving you the rules of police. And then we look at the questions that would arise. The various questions, or the very questions that are agitating the mind of the speaker on the other line and yourself and your listeners are the very questions that are agitating the mind of the police. Because we have rules of engagement that our officers in such situation to follow. We are also having the same question. And that is why we are subjecting them to investigation as to why the police went there in the first place with live arms, with ammunition, with weapons, with, the kind of weapon that they went there with. What actually occasioned the commotion?
But Superintendent.
Yes.
First of all, if the practice does not say that release or discharge of live arms should be the first option, then we can boldly admit that what happened at Denu is wrong. Then we can want to investigate why your men did what they did.
I think that's Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Cephas.
Yeah, I didn't get the import of what you were
The point I'm making is, if practice says that discharge of live ammunition should be the last resort, and in this case we didn't see that happen, I think we can then condemn it and want to investigate why your men did not stick to practice. But I don't see you do that.
Who is saying that they did it as the first resort and not the last resort? Who is saying so? Who is saying that they didn't resort to other means of responding to the situation rather than the last one? So these are the things that we need to know. We are not saying that they resorted to the arms or live ammunition as the last resort. We are not saying so. Neither are we saying that they use it as the first resort. Before we can get to this or otherwise, we need to conduct investigation. It is only upon investigation.
But these were school children, Cephas. School children.
Result. Hello?
Cephas, these were school children.
Come again, please.
I'm saying that these were students, school children, in a boarding house.
That is it. If the students are saying so, is that the only angle to it? If eventually, after a painstaking investigation, we reach the decision as the students are saying, then we have a scientific cause to take any action against anybody. But we don't take only one side. When you are doing investigation, you consider all options. So you don't only, in fact, the students are a party to the entire situation. So would you say that because the students are saying that the moment the police got there, they started shooting? So now that is the gospel truth. So you start taking your action based upon one particular incident. You do a painstaking investigation, and when you come to that conclusion, then you know that you have reached a scientific conclusion. And when you are taking any action against anybody, it becomes very justified.
I see. Now, Francis.
Yeah, I'm on.
What justice? I know you have already told us your your thoughts on this particular police release discharging firearms in the school. But what justice can this 14-year-old boy and his family get from the police in this case?
Well, in my view, the use of live ammunition on that day was too harsh, and it was reckless, and for me, it has led to the loss of life, and the family, I believe, actually take the police on, for some compensation for the loss of this life, because on that occasion, in my view, the police was completely reckless on that occasion.
Very well. Now, but it's not just the issue of this boy we're looking at. We're also looking at these two young students who are alleged to have been engaged in homosexual acts. Let me throw that to you, Cephas. What are we looking at for these boys?
Is it to me or to the other
to you,
gentleman?
Cephas?
Yeah, we have arrested the two students also at the center of this whole episode, and we are investigating. But before I say another thing, let me make it clear that the police are never defending any police action. In fact, the police that rushed the investigation team from the crime scene management team from the CRDA protest to get to the bottom of it. As we speak, the 3 policemen who are suspected to have undertaken the shooting are in detention, pending further investigation and the necessary action. So we are not at all, police are not at all defending any action. We are only saying that before we come to any logical conclusion upon which we can take any action, there must be a scientific investigation, so that when you are acting, then you are acting upon a concrete fact and you act appropriately. But let me say that the students...
Cephas, just before you go on, Cephas, are you able to share just a bit of a detail of the autopsy report with us?
Not much about it, except to say that there was a gunshot wound. But apart from that, it is an esoteric area which is limited to the people with medical knowledge. Even if somebody...
Was the gunshot wound to his head, to his chest, to his shoulder? What was it?
The detail I can't, because I don't have it. But I was told that the report said that there was a gunshot wound. But even that one, that even when a tree falls on somebody and the person dies, although a tree fell on him, there's an immediate cause.
But you're unable to give us the details. So let's move away from that. Let's not try and give any conjectures at this point. But really, with these two boys, what are we looking at here?
Hello?
I'm asking about the two boys. What are we looking at?
The schoolboy?
The boys who are said to have been engaged in homosexual acts.
Yes. So we are looking at the type of engaging in homosexual acts. If it is so, we are investigating. If it is so, what steps are there for us to take? Once it is a crime, it has to be dealt with criminally. As we are investigating to establish the veracity of the allegation upon which the students allegedly embarked upon the commotion and eventually causing the kind of disaster that we have on our hands. So we need to investigate.
So first, I want to wrap it up with you. From where the police sits, would it be okay to reopen the school anytime soon?
Come again, please.
From where you sit as the police,
yes,
when would be most appropriate to reopen the school? There's exams around the corner.
Oh, let that one be decided by the DISEC and then the school authority. Once they are okay with the kind of security in the school, with
Cephas, thank you very much for your time. Cephas Arthur, Superintendent Cephas Arthur is Head of Police Public Affairs Directorate. Francis Xavier Sosu is a human rights lawyer. He's still here with me. Francis, let's talk about the two boys and the kind of reaction they got from the students. What does this say?
I think it actually tells you how many people in Ghana do not understand issues of homosexuality, and we often confuse it with morality, which eventually leads to some of the issues that occurred in that school. There is no doubt about the fact that unnatural carnal knowledge is an offense under the Criminal Offences Act. And anybody who is seen engaging in that act can simply be reported, to the police so that they will be arrested, because that is what our law says, that anyone who engages in unnatural carnal knowledge commits an offense. But to take the law into your own hands and want to lynch the person and so on and so forth, I think it is very, very wrong, and we need to desist from that. The fact that the act is an offense does not mean that we have to take the law into our own hands and want to seek justice for ourselves. We should simply report them and let the police carry out their investigation.
And so for these young boys, what are we looking at here for them?
Well, the law actually says that it is an unnatural carnal knowledge, and any unnatural carnal knowledge under Section 104 of Act 29 is an offense. So what we expect the police to do is to investigate it. If the police have enough evidence to prosecute them, they arraign them before the court and take the various, take their plea. If they plead not guilty, then they are given the police is given the opportunity, the prosecution, to prove their guilt beyond reasonable doubt. And when they are found guilty, they are jailed, a maximum of about 3 years, and I think a minimum of about 6 months. So that is what is in for them for unnatural carnal knowledge.
Where does the issue of rights, or where does it come in here?
What the issue of rights in relation to persons who are engaged in homosexual activities has to do with what our Constitution has expressly stated. In fact, when you go to Article 17 of the Constitution, it talks about the fact that persons shall not be discriminated against on the basis of their sexual orientation. But unfortunately, our Criminal Act has criminalized the act. And until our Criminal Act is revised or is amended, there is nothing you can do about that. It remains a crime, and when you are found involved in that, you would be prosecuted.
Francis, thank you very much for your time. Francis Xavier Sosu is a human rights lawyer. We've been discussing the riots at St. Paul Senior High School at Denu in the Volta region, which led to the death of a 14-year-old first-year student. Now, the first-year student was killed Saturday by a stray bullet when the police were invited to kill riots by students who had been demanding release of two colleagues said to have been engaged in homosexual acts. The students went on rampage, destroyed school properties when authorities refused to allow them, beat up the alleged students. And well, now the Ghana Police Service has released the body of a 14-year-old student to his family. Let's find out how the family is doing. I've been joined by the father of this young boy. Thank you very much for your time here.
No, thank you.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling so bad.
You have very well. You have received the body of your 14-year-old son.
I've received the body after the examining of the bullet killing my son. Then I brought the cops to home around 9 p.m. on that very Saturday. Deposited the body at the regional hospital, mortuary. But we were able to collect the body back yesterday and bury him around 9 a.m. yesterday morning. The boy has been buried according to the Muslim rite.
What happens now?
Now we are here with my people sympathizing with me, console me that I should take art. But we are on. Just now, the regional minister of Volta region and the entourage has left my house now to come and console me, to talk to me the way I should calm down, that they are still on the investigation. So however it is. But those police people are already in the police custody, locked up at the police station, regional office here.
I believe you want justice for the death of your son.
Exactly.
But what will be justice for you? What is your definition of justice?
I want the IG and the entire nation to see how best they can bring the justice to the reality, and for people to know that Ghana is very, very okay, and to stop this type of nonsense, because we Muslims, we don't take anything from them, but this very particular one is very painful. My people here are not happy. The mother did not happy. I also did not happy. Since Saturday, I was unable to taste even water because of this boy. Because today is exactly 1 month I sent the bus to school. Exactly 1 month. Today, Monday, I sent the bus to school at Sparkle. So the police, the authorities to do something quickly.
Very well.
They should not delay the issue.
Let's talk about your son.
My son is now in the grave.
What sort of a child was he?
Come again?
What sort of a child was he? How would you describe him?
Oh, he's a nice boy. He's the one I have. He's the one who is moving with me, discussing, chatting, encouraging me that, Daddy, you exercise. Let me finish my education. You'll be enjoying me forever. That is what I've been discussing with me, making me happy always. But suddenly.
What were your dreams for him?
My dream for him is to become somebody in life. That is why I sent him to Sparkle. But no, now, my dream is now in vain. 10 to 0. No hope, no anything again. So the boy has gone.
In your conversations with your son, what did he want to be in future?
Coming again?
In your conversations with your son, what were his own dreams as to what he wanted to pursue in life?
Actually, after BEC exam, they took him for 3 places. Sparkle, PJ. The PJ, they gave him a Greek engineer. Sparkle, they give him visual art. And because of his handicap, he said, okay, we go for visual art at Sparkle, because he doesn't have one hand proper. The right hand, this is how he was born. So, but the left hand is okay. Using it to eat, to write, to do everything in his life. So, for this boy, with his conditions, the whole nation will see the body and know that this boy cannot involve in a rubbish. Very, very, very intelligent boy. So he promised me to become somebody in life, but it's no more, as I said earlier.
But obviously all of that can't happen. But what was the information the police gave you as to what happened that last Saturday in school?
On Friday night, I'm about to go on my bed around 9 p.m. when the call came. And I picked the call. I did not even know the number because the name was not on my phone. It was a woman who rather called me that how many children do we have at Sparkle from Otongo? And I said we have 3 boys at that very school. But one among of them, Jamal, is already in he was sick. So he come back. The remaining one is my son Abdurakib and Reliwan. So they were there. Then the woman said that a son called from the school, he's also a student of that very school, that there's a crisis going on in the campus. But the police came inside and gunned one student down through his head. So they discovered that the boy came from Osongo here. That's why she was asking me how many of our children are in that very particular school. So if I will not delay, as early as possible on that very Saturday, I should go and confirm what was really happening there. Actually, on Saturday morning, I took off. On my way going, I received a call.
And so when the police finally released the body to you, what did they tell you?
They did not say anything. They said we should go for autopsy at Accra Police Hospital. And we went. They give us one pickup. Police give us one pickup. Then we send the body to Accra. And they quickly do the job because they said they communicated with IG. IG gives order that the doctor will be there waiting for us because the boy is a Muslim. We will not be able to delay the corpse for burial. So actually, the doctor did a nice job. And the police too assisted to reach the destination there. So they conveyed the body to who?
What did the autopsy say?
The autopsy said that it was a bullet. Enter and go out again at the other side of the boy's head.
Come again, I'm not sure I got that.
I said autopsy said that it was a bullet. It was a bullet. So enter the boy's head from the other side and come out and at the other side, from the right to the left. It penetrates narrow and come out boldly at the other side of the boy's head.
Did the autopsy determine which bullet it was?
They did not even tell anything about that. They just said it was a bullet and targeted one.
Very well. Alhaji, thank you very much for your time and accept our condolences.
Okay.
Alhaji Suleiman Adiris, father of a 14-year-old boy who was shot and killed by a stray bullet at St. Paul Senior High School at Denu in the Volta region. His body was released to the family over the weekend and he was subsequently buried as per Muslim tradition. Now, you can share your thoughts on this particular issue we have discussed on our social media platforms. Joy News on TV, on Facebook, and on Twitter. I'll be more than glad to share your thoughts with the rest of us here. But when I come back, we'll move away briefly from this very sad story. We'll talk about the Black Stars. Don't go away.